One, two, three.
They're coming.
We're already here.
They got some great, some top notch voice acting once again in Professor X's episode. His dream mutterings.
So, what's the big deal that couldn't wait till morning?
Well, that would be X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Welcome. I am your host.
You.
Yes, me. Davan Shakari. Rid of that so you can see that. There we go. And we'll talk about why I'm Davan Shakari in a minute. But first, I must introduce my co-host, of course.
All the years watching your pathetic backwater little world, walking among you.
That actually really sounds like something I'd say.
Yeah, that was your inner monologue, I think. I don't know why we heard it. That's kind of
sounds
weird.
very much like something I would say.
But we have a co-host, and André the Red.
Yes, I was originally Andre the Red, but then Davin had told me about a guess one of our listeners had made about my name.
Hold
this
on.
week.
We're jumping right into a segment.
Oh my goodness. We got new segments.
This time it's Andre getting by with a little help from X-Friends.
Did you reach out to did you pay the estate of the Beatles for that? I mean, I feel like of all the musicians out there, the Beatles would be the most litigious. They'd have to be up there.
Yeah, but that's me playing it, singing it. What are they going to do?
What
do the Beatles need with my money?
At least give some money to Joe Cocker's estate.
There's only half of them left alive to sue me in the first place.
One time, funny side story. One time, a dude I work with was like, "Hey, Andrew, I got a joke for you." I was like, "What is it?"
Hey, Sam, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Sam. And he goes, "Hey, Andre, what would it take to reunite the Beatles?" And I said, "I don't know, a shovel." And he said, "No, 3 more bullets." And he laughed. And I looked at him and I said,
"Oh
2
my,
more bullets." And then he goes, "What?" And I'm like, "There are only 2 Beatles left alive." He's like, well, "Who's dead?" I said, "John Lennon and George Harrison." He goes, "Harrison died?" I said, "Yeah, like
quite a long time ago,
30 years ago of cancer." And he's like, "What?" Like he didn't know. He did not know George Harrison had died. Like he was totally out to lunch. So,
but yes, Andre did get help with his name from a listener.
I did. Thank you. I did just choose Andre the Red, and then he told me somebody guessed it, André the Red, which I thought was much more clever, and therefore it got put in. So.
But why am I Davan Shakari? Well, let me tell you a little story. Growing up with my name, you never see that name anywhere. You don't think there's any more Davins in the world or even the galaxy like you. But then I came upon this fella as a young lad in a comic book. Eric the Red, whose name is Davan Shakari. First time I ever saw my name other than myself was...
Your name is so strange that the only other person in all of fiction that has one is an alien from another universe.
And the real world that I've seen. Until a couple of years ago, I actually did meet another guy with my name.
Really?
It's my computer, actually, yeah.
There's a Davan Designs. There's a Davan in Star Wars. Davan on Wikipedia.
There is? Wow.
A human individual serves a member of the Rebel Alliance's Pathfinders during the reign of the Galactic Empire between 3 ABY and 4 ABY. Davan was present among a group of individuals who Sergeant Kes Dameron assembled to accompany him on an unsanctioned mission to rescue his wife, Shara Bay, from the Imperial Star Destroyer Tarkin's will. There you go. I'm guessing since that they mentioned Dameron, that it's in the newer the newer canon, so it's actually canon. So there you go. Your favorite thing in the world, Star Wars. You're in it, baby. Yeah. You love Star Wars more than any other science fiction property in the world, bar none. Let it be known and recorded right now. That
super fans like me. Super fans like me get put into the material, just like how our friend of the show, Dave Cutler, is going to put us in a comic book one day.
Yeah, I think it's dreaming on your part. I mean, we wouldn't argue, Dave, but we certainly are not soliciting that. I'm not anyway. Devin, maybe.
I'm soliciting it.
He's
so
a
are the
shill.
listeners.
He's a
So are the
corporate shill.
listeners. Well, I just want what's best for the listeners.
Oh,
So we are here to
it's the listeners.
review Season 3, Episode 3, The Phoenix Saga Part 1, Sacrifice of X-Men the Animated Series, written by prolific writer of the show, Michael. Yeah, he wrote last 4 episodes, maybe? No, except for one by Len Wein. But yeah, he's on a roll. So, yeah, go. Let's kick it off.
Say Eden's, I think of Edinger from Star Trek.
Edinger. Oh, yeah. Eddington?
Eddington, that's it. Sorry, that's his name.
Oh, Eddington is great.
The Maquis traitor. Let's just go ahead to go to
or romantic hero, depending on who you ask.
Yes, Jobert. That's the Star Trek. That's a deep Star Trek cut for those of you who like Deep Space Nine.
Actually, that's not the last time we'll talk about Star Trek tonight. But anyway, not right now, because right now.
Previously on X-Men.
I felt things, sensed things I have never known before. Saw terrible visions of beings with ruthless, unimaginable power.
Ben.
But I fear this was only the beginning.
How was that for a previously on X-Men for you?
That actually works surprisingly. I'm amazed. Shocked and appalled.
Last episode, I hit the timing perfectly once, and now I've done that perfectly once. I'm done here.
You've done enough. I think it's over. I think you've made it.
So, yeah. You got a summary for us here, Andre?
No, actually, I don't think.
You want me to do it?
No, I don't want to do anything. I don't like what do we just go watch the episode. Just go watch it. What are you even doing here? What are you even doing? No, I'm just kidding.
We'll do one of those watch along videos where it's
André has one of those like a deep existential crisis where I just question everything that has brought me to this point in my life and then just complain for the whole episode and just malign the audience for not just watching the episode themselves. Which I'm sure
surprised that hasn't happened yet, to be honest.
Oh well, you know what? I can that's true. That is true. Do I really give off a vibe of being a curmudgeon that much, or just that like I'm world weary?
No, I don't think so.
I think world weary would be a better way to describe myself. As a 36-year-old, I feel like I'm more jaded than I should be at this age. However, perhaps. I think that works in my favor because sometimes I can use it. The pithy humor, which can elevate our show, and I'm sure the audience is watching these episodes, as we know, but they're
here for the pith.
Exactly.
They're here for pretty much 100% pure Andre pith.
They want to hear us solicit sponsors. They want to hear us pitch stuff for decals and T-shirts. They want Andre to get that Sweet Me Undies money so that he can get underwear with the dick pouch in it, and then we can go off from there. So like life is good. But honestly, just a rare moment of lucidity here. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another great episode in which we talk about Part 1, Episode 3, Part 1, Phoenix Saga, Sacrifice, which I feel as though is giving away a huge part of this episode right in the title.
Yeah, so, could have done without it. But
maybe so.
I don't think these episodes necessarily need subtitles.
I agree. I mean, that's giving away. That's like saying, welcome to episode. I don't want to spoil a current show. Welcome to episode, welcome to season 2 of Stranger Things. Bob dies in this one. That's the title. No. I mean,
you ever see that YouTube video called "He Dies in the End"? That's a really cool horror. It's a really cool horror short, man. Check it out.
I tell you, Stranger Things does have a trend of introducing cool new characters and then killing them off at the end of the season, which sucks. But the show is so goddamn good, I forgive them for it. Anyway, so we begin with Professor X. In his little dream, he's having a little dream. He's making some fun noises, as we heard earlier. It's kind of like that. That's a pretty fair representation, I'd say, if you were to.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I was going to grab them, but I knew you could do it.
Yes.
So.
I knew. So, which he is experiencing visions of what we know as comic fans as the Shi'ar Empire and various things related to them, but specifically seeing a ship being chased by another larger ship. Ships that seem insect-like in appearance being chased by a larger ship that seems not insect-like, in which the little ships are being overtaken by the big one. They're being solidified, it would seem, with some kind of a beam that almost turns them like into rock, or at least some kind of coating that makes them not able to operate, and then they're tractor beamed to the ship.
Thing beam.
What is it? A sting beam? Is that what you called it?
Thing beam.
A thing beam?
Turns you into rock. It's the thing beam.
Oh, nice.
Help me, Gothic Savior. Help me.
You hear a little bit of it's got like a bit of a nasally bend to it, which I think is kind of funny. He's like, Landra.
Cedric Smith, the voice of Professor, goes all in on all his dialogue, though.
That's true. I mean, if Marvel needs a backup, I'm ready. I'm here and I'm waiting.
They might call you. There's a new show.
So then he is kind of, it's almost like an SOS that he's appearing in a psychic vision while he's sleeping of this person in a spacesuit, which also looks kind of insect-like, calling to him for help as they're being essentially captured, or at least chased. We don't really see them get captured, but they are near being captured by the larger ship. Professor X wakes up and summons his X-Men, who all arrive in various states of undress and sleepiness. As that's kind of bug-like. Look at that giant yellow bug-like eyes. Kind of like an Ultron body with bug eyes. That's what we're looking at here.
That DC Mantis character, or whatever. Mantis?
Are you referring to the arch enemy of Aquaman, the Black Manta?
Yes, that's the one.
Well, that would be... Let's stop pretending like you don't know anything about DC. Come on. You didn't see Aquaman, the movie?
Well, I play HeroClix, and people fight me with DC things all the time.
You just refuse to use DC characters, even if they might be good for your team? Are you one of those?
Yeah, definitely. But
okay. That's fine.
Well, I have a Marvel or Star Trek alternative for everything in that game. Don't you even worry about that.
I'm not concerned at all. All right. Well, I'm deeply concerned about your lack of DC comic stuff here. That's what I'm trying to say here. You need to jump into DC. You got to follow good writers, Davan, not just characters. Although I say that like rather hypocritically, as you know, Spider-Man generally gets my money regardless who's writing it. But thankfully, they've all been good writers as of late. So,
and a new book with Dan Slott coming out, pretty exciting.
Yeah, which I mean, he was one of the best Spider-Man writers in the past 40 years, I'd say. So,
best run ever, I think.
In the history of time, I don't know.
Yeah, if you count his all the big time stuff and all the superior.
Yeah, I mean that all was really
definitely.
great. Yeah, I gotta
leading
say.
into Spider-Verse, which was amazing, and I thought that would suck because it just seemed like a cash grab. But man,
I can't wait till we do our Spider-Man version of this and we get to that episode way at the end of that series. But it's a great episode. That series is so good. Anyway, so yes,
looking forward to it.
Let me finish what I'm doing here, which is being distracted by the internet. All right, so then we see them all the X-Men appear in various states of undress and sleepiness, as I mentioned earlier. Wolverine has a pithy line. I'm sure you have there. Do you have that? What Wolverine says?
Oh, likely.
Oh, you did at the beginning. Actually, you played at the very beginning where you said, "A kid in this wait. What couldn't wait till morning?"
So, what's the big deal that couldn't wait till morning?
Sounds like he's in pain too. He's like,
my favorite line of his was this, actually.
Zit cream?
Oh no! I forgot.
Just smells zit cream on all over
says, and like he knows specifically, like I'm assuming that type of cream would just smell like any other type of cream. Like why would
people
he know
still use
still
use zit cream? I
maybe
feel like
the
that's a real 90s thing.
It seems like a 90s thing.
Everyone had zit cream in the 90s.
That's right. Because we were marketed as such that it would fix all of your zits, and then you quickly learn that is not the case at all. But you just wasted a bunch of money in this Nuxemium product that didn't do jack shit. Not speaking from experience. I don't think I ever had any in my life. I think I just was a fat, pimply, glassed, spectacled, brace wearing cool guy. Obviously, I was super popular in high school, as I'm saying that. Anyway, I think he has a good line too later where he says like somebody call for a surgeon, which I thought was a fun.
Oh
line.
yeah, I didn't clip that one either.
Oh yeah, good. Okay,
Good,
I wasn't
good
sure if you had
impression.
that one or not. Yeah, I think as the show goes on, my impression might get better. But you're watching it quite a bit, you tend to pick this stuff up. So he ordered.
You just need to edit a bub.
It's kind of like, I know, and we often joke about the expediency of how things work in the show because it's a 22-minute show. It's a cartoon for kids. You got to cram everything in as much as you can. But I just love that, like, say you're on a super team, perhaps in a world. Maybe you're just at a job. You're a cop, per se. And as far as you just, because superheroes kind of are like cops in a way. So you get your chief calls all the cops into the room and says, Scalhorn, Myatt, don't ask any questions, but you're going to space.
Yeah, I know. I was going to talk about that as well.
And then that's it. They're like, what? He's like, yeah, you got to go hijack a NASA shuttle and fly to space. Don't ask me any questions. I can't tell you anything. And then they're like, okay, all right, whatever you say, boss. I mean, I feel like just going to space with no space experience, like engineering, astral engineering, or astrophysics experience, any kind of engineering experience, anything like that may just spell doom for you. But I mean, as we do find out in the episode, they do kind of
funny that you say doom.
You must find a way to get aboard that shuttle and go to the Eagle 1 space station, or Dr. Corbeau and his crew are doomed.
Doomed, I tell you.
Doomed. Man, Dr. Doom.
But you know what? You skipped over this.
Look like I come home just in time.
Late date, eh, Gumbo?
Not for me.
Can I say how much I love that music that always plays?
I do, and I have a comment about that later, which I'm going to save for my points because I don't have as many fun trivia points as I normally do. But I do like that Gambit, the little Gambit bit there. That's super cool. He looked great. He looked really fine. I love that he's just like, "Off for me." Like he's up that late generally all the time.
For me.
We don't really know what time it is in the morning. I'm guessing 3 or 4. Apparently, Wolverine is like an early to bed type person. You think he'd be a guy out there too, just fucking people up on the streets or
who knows?
Somewhere. I guess tonight might have been his off night. Maybe it's recovery day.
We have another a loyal listener who pointed out the fact that he had something to say about this line.
Breaking into government installations, not usually our style.
I was going to bring that up later too.
It's not like that's what they did to kick this whole series off.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should elucidate more on what's going on here. So, Professor X tells the team they need to procure a space shuttle and use it to fly to a space station where Peter Corbeau is going to be troubled by these aliens, apparently. Then, they ask some questions, but unfortunately, Professor X can't tell them much or won't tell them much. It's a little unclear as to why. Hey, Blake Griggs, thanks for tuning in.
Blake, yeah, man, good evening.
So, yes, and then, of course, Gambit has that line, which I thought was hilarious because they've done that several times in this series. Oh, good. Well, welcome, Blake. You're in the right spot.
This is where we congregate. All fans.
This is where we congregate.
Yep. This is the spot.
So we... he explains this to them that eventually they must come up with a crazy plan because we'll see what that is in a little bit. But they have to get ready to go off and do this, and we see Cyclops kind of approach Professor X, and ask him why they can't. Yeah, this nice little moment here. Ask him why he doesn't trust them enough to tell them what's happening, and Xavier says he does trust him, but it's. He can't tell them information for whatever reason. So it's all being.
Don't you trust me to lead the team?
I know it's a little moment of doubt from Mr. Summers, I guess, thinking that his fearless leader may not trust him to be a team leader, as it were. But all will be revealed, I'm sure, in time. Oh, good, good, Blake. So then we eventually see the team enact their plan. They arrive at the base and they sneak their way inside. Jubilee, of course, is to remain as someone get caught so they don't scrub the launch so that they find the intruder. They first, of course, do you have the storm line, which they use to
Oh, it's maybe the stormiest line yet.
It's very stormy, which is why I figured you had it clipped.
Yeah, well, hold on. I actually want to put an image up of her on the screen as it goes. This is the new Storm from the new series, but still, here we go. You can really envision.
The lightning bolt earrings are a real nice touch. I got to say, she's good at accessorizing.
Yeah, agreed.
Fog! Rise and enshroud us in the cloak of your gray mists!
Yeah, very specific.
I also like how when they're having when they're all woken up, they're all like wearing various things that you'd assume, like they're all very on point for what you'd assume they'd be wearing when they're sleeping. Like Wolverine, I figured would just be in his underwear, which he basically is. He just threw a robe over himself. Cyclops is in like the full robe with the tied cinch with the obvious pajamas underneath, like very white bread sort of.
He sleeps in his Cyclops uniform, you know it.
Jubilee's like in a loose t-shirt and jogging pants was covered in zit cream. Jean Grey's in just like a t-shirt and pajama pants, so generally fairly basic because your character doesn't get fleshed out a lot in the show. But like Storm sleeps in some kind of African sarong, like with like the full, like, covered in the patterns and stuff, which I thought was very interesting. I did like that those attention to details are nice. It's very nice. So Jubilee stays behind in the base to get captured so that the guards find someone breaking in, and therefore so Storm did you play the Storm clip?
Yeah. Did you not hear it?
Oh yes, I did. I'm sorry. Man, I don't know what's going on with me today. So
shroud us in your mists of grayness or whatever.
Just once I'd like her to go. Somebody be like, Storm, make us some fog, and she'd be like, okay. And
mist.
This fog. Like doesn't even need to call it. Just like it's such a flex to do what she does. But I you have the flair for the dramatic, which is why I think her and the Beast of this show would be a good match. If I had to put two characters in this show together as a couple, I think
Storm and Beast.
I think that'd be an interesting match.
They don't have enough conversations or like scenes together in battle scenes, that's for sure. It's
because they don't have that. They aren't planning for that on the show, but I just think they would make a nice couple.
And it's only a 22-minute show, and just a brief conversation between those two.
And we don't have that much time between the love triangles of Scott and Wolverine and Jean, and then Gambit and
dinner
Rogue,
scenes.
And, Jubilee and whatever VCR is nearby. There's just a lot of love going on that we have to explore in this show. So there might not be room for this one, unfortunately. Jubilee gets caught. First they use the mist to shroud themselves to jump over the fence. There's a great scene, a little bit where Beast just picks up Wolverine and throws him over the fence without telling him, which I think is cool. You got that one?
Any landing you can walk away from, old boy. Do that again, and we'll see where you land.
Beast is so cool. He's the coolest guy ever, man.
We get a lot of Beast in this episode, which is nice. He's kind of been missing a little lately. But I like that he's like a full-fledged member of the team now. We're seeing a lot more of him, which is great. They get in they knock out the actual people getting on the shuttle. They take their spacesuits and lock them away in a hold somewhere. And then Jean uses her powers to make Peter Corbeau, who actually Hank mentions he knows earlier, because I don't know if it's just convenience for the storyline's sake or whatever, but Hank does know.
He knows the scientists. Oh
yeah. All scientists in the world all know each other. Come on, Davan. Jesus.
He's quite prominent.
Come on, quit fooling around.
Sorry, Dad.
That's a good one too. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Dad. They kind of use their powers to make him think that they're all his actual crewmates, and then they get on the shuttle, take off. Jubilee, meanwhile, is stuck inside the base, at the back, being interrogated, but then Rogue uses her powers to essentially make a whirlwind bust through the window and then take Jubilee away. Who's going to pay for that window? The taxpayers. That's going to pay, Davan. Just the
damage control.
Department
of Damage Control.
They can't even prove that it was a superhuman person that did it. A superpowered person that did it. As far as they wanted to know, it was a windstorm that sucked up their prisoner away.
Oh yeah, but in the Marvel universe, everybody just writes off damage as.
Isn't Damage Control a part of the Ms. Marvel TV show? I haven't watched it yet, but I think they're playing into it somehow.
Yeah, they've been in a few things now.
Well, only very briefly, I think, in Spider-Man. Or No Way Home, but that's about it.
Yeah. Not No Way Home. They were in the Vulture one.
Yes,
Far from
I'm pretty sure they're mentioned, or one of the representatives is the one is a bad guy in the sea. Anyway, I know there's a character that was in Spider-Man: Far From Home that I thought was representing damage control. That is
Damage Control are the ones
and it's almost a villain.
that
I know they're the
take,
ones that pick up whatever happens, but I think there's more to it than that.
Well, yeah, they're the ones that Toombs' work from him.
Yes, that's in that one, but I'm pretty sure, like I said, that there's a character, maybe someone that was interrogating Spider-Man or something about Mysterio in Far From Home is actually one of the villains in, or a government spook or something in the Ms. Marvel show. Anyway,
Jubilee, it's time to get yourself caught.
I know.
She's
I believe that was the plan. Just go get Jubilee kidnapped again, basically.
And also, she's not wearing a mask. You know what I mean? Like, anybody took a photo of her or something. Like, they know what she looks like. And she broke
Not 2022. She doesn't need a mask.
And she's always like, "Oh, I just wanted to see what the shuttle was like." And it's like, also, Wolverine clawed through the door, so they're going to look at the door and see that somebody with massive claws, or at least some kind of crazy, adamantium thing, busted through the wall, and then they're going to find this lone teenager. Like, I assume they'd be able to pick up who and what. Maybe related. Also, the X-Men have been in the news several times. So anyway, Storm rescues her, and then they escape off back to the mansion, and we cut back to our intrepid heroes who are now in space.
Found a way.
As they reach the station, they are enveloped by knockout gas, and then when that's happening, basically. That's what happened? Jean Grey's powers start to loosen, and then the buddy can tell that Peter can tell that they're not his teammates anymore.
Yeah, there it is. There, he's like, "Who are you guys?"
And he recognizes Beast.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey,
Dr. McCoy." But then the gas gets them, and they all get knocked out. And then we see the person who gassed them, a man known as Erica the Red, who has hijacked the station. Very cool looking character with his,
also known as Davan
Shikari, if you will, to be specific. Shikari. So, but it's Eric with a K, is it not?
It is, yeah.
It's not so on the thing that I was getting some of my information from. Yeah, it's always funny when like aliens from other races choose names that are very human names, famous human names. Like, is there an Eric the Red on the Shi'ar planet? What's the Shi'ar planet called?
Chandelar.
Oh, that's a cool name. So on Chandelar, was there an Eric the Red coincidentally as well? Or is he just called...
Eric the Red? Well, I'll get into Eric the Red later. Oh, I can get into it now.
Where he gets his name from?
Well, no. I got nothing to say about that. I'll talk about Eric the Red later. Continue.
Okay. So, yeah.
But I will say,
cool design.
There's a lot of red there.
Yeah, cool design too.
They got that part of the name right.
So he goes and contacts the Shi'ar Emperor, who we know as Deken Niramani. Is that pronounced right? Niramani. Who tells them that they have the astronaut they need, and also the X-Men as well. Basically, what is kind of we learn through this sequence is that they're setting up at this. Actually, we get to that, I think, as he does his villain monologue, which is coming up. So Eric tries to shove the team out an airlock. Jean Grey manages to save them all using her abilities. Eric then explains that the space station was monitoring a wormhole in which Lilandra and Niramani will use to escape the Shi'ar. So they're waiting there for her so they can use an energy weapon, which is this big kind of fancy gun that they've outfitted to the station to
Magistrix.
Blow up her ship.
X words are awesome. I mean, this is an X-Men podcast, so there's a bit of bias, but Magistrix.
That is a good name.
Like, why did we stop using betwixt? It sounds way better.
Well, they just need to throw X into everything. That's it.
Yeah, why can't we just...
X in every word?
Yeah.
The external, anything with X in it. It's got to be an X.
Yep.
It's very important. That's basically what's going on. The X-Men kind of break free and attack Eric. He orders his mind-controlled station personnel to open fire on them. As this is happening, the launcher ship appears from the wormhole. Eric uses the station's laser to fire at her. During his monologue, Eric says that he was stationed on Earth from the Shi'ar Empire to kind of live among us in hiding and wait for a moment that he is needed, basically. And he's pretty upset about that.
Let the galaxy know the price for aiding Lilandra.
yes, he assumes the X-Men are working with Lilandra, as they don't even know her yet. But, this is kind of what he assumes, being that these superpowered people showed up. He doesn't know Professor X is yet, of course, but assuming they're agents of hers. But yes, he does explain that he has been living on Earth in disguise, which might be why he looks so human. Hopefully that's explained. And really hates our planet, calls us backwater and back garbage planet that's useless, and hopes that if he impresses Emperor with this event, that he'll be able to get moved to a better planet, which I think is a great motivation for anybody. Because anybody's had a job they don't like can certainly appreciate this motivation.
Wants to get a new job. Yeah,
it's like, listen, if you could upgrade from McDonald's to like Olive Garden by bludgeoning your coworker to death with a pipe, you'd probably do it.
That's one of my favorite motivations of a supervillain in this series. Yeah,
just his job sucks and he wants another one.
It's just like can't stand this office anymore.
It's like wherever you're posted by your job, it's like we're sending you to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you're gonna have to live there for a while.
Ours is not the reason why. Ours is but to do and.
Oh, we'll come back to that.
That's a good line. And did you notice what word he didn't get to say in that?
He didn't get to say die, and I'll talk about that later as well.
Which, so as they are in the ship, they know as they're walking around, basically, when they split up to try to find stuff, Beast comes across this probe, which is shielded to protect people inside from radiation in space. So that's going to be important later.
Mm-hmm.
During the fight, they attempt there's when the guys are shooting at them, the circuitry gets damaged, which makes the gun shoot off early, which does miss the ship, just barely, Lilandra's ship as it appeared. The X-Men actually destroy some of the equipment. They rescue Corbeau and the workers from the exploding. So the station starts exploding because of the damage that happened in the fight. Eric escapes. I don't know why he bothered bringing some of the brainwashed minions from the station with him, but for some reason he took 2 of them with him.
Never know when you'll need brainwashed minions.
That's true. So they go back to his ship and they fly off. The brainwashed.
What if you need a sandwich or something?
That's true. You can make a sandwich for it. The brainwashed minions, as you notice, have a little metal thing on their neck, which indicates that they are being controlled by this device. That
or a collar.
And it's funny because while they are searching around, Wolverine sees that, or when they see that probe, Wolverine and Beast are talking, and Wolverine asks why they're sent off to come do all this. And Beast says, ours is not the reason why, ours is to simply do, and then they're broken up.
And then nothing.
Yeah, do and die is the full phrase.
Ours is not the reason why. Ours is but to do and...
I love that poem. I'm going to talk about that later, though.
Very famous poem. Oh, are you?
Were you as well?
Kind of.
Well, we might have different things to say. We always seem to miss each other's points on these.
It's from a very famous poem called "The Charge of Light Brigade," which I'm sure you will reference later. So we will get to that.
Alfred Lord Tennyson.
That is true. One of the best. Writer of Ozymandias. Am I correct in that one too? No, that's Shelley. What did Tennyson write that I really liked? It's not The Wasteland. That's C.S. Eliot. Anyway, we'll talk about it later. So let me get back to where I was. Yeah, so then as the ship starts exploding, Eric escapes with his minions.
Mind-controlled minions.
The X-Men save the people that they knocked out in the fight, bring them back with them. They all get on the shuttle, which is heading back. However, they only have enough fuel to do a direct line to Earth, and that direct line is going to pass through the wake of Lilandra's shuttle, which is giving off this intense energy, which is off the charts as far as the readings go. So B suggests they all hide in the shuttle solar probe, which is in the shuttle, which will stop the radiation from getting them. However, somebody has to fly the plane, of course, because the autopilot was damaged during the fight. Cyclops volunteers.
She our star cruiser. We're gonna fly right through the energy contrail.
Peter obviously can't. Well, he could do it, I suppose, but he's a civilian. Well, not a civilian, I guess, but he's an innocent as their eyes. So Cyclops says if he can fly the Blackbird, he can fly this. Jean volunteers, saying that she can use her psychic powers to shield herself, as she kind of displayed earlier when they were
I can fly. I can telepathically absorb Dr. Corbeau's flight training and generate a psychokinetic shield to protect myself from the radiation.
You know, a lot of scientists and Jean, they're all saying really important stuff, but I think the most important thing is said by Gambit.
Look like they're going to be a barbecue, and we're going to be the main course.
There's that There's that sweet Gambit, that important Gambit dialogue that is very, and it's like if there's a situation where you're all facing death and someone's just like, makes that flippant comment. How does that make anything better? It
lightens the mood.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Because
with that Cajun charm, I was lightened. That was an intense moment. I was really worried, and then Gambit's like, barbecue.
Can you imagine if at the end of Toy Story 3, when we all thought they were going to be incinerated,
that
one of them made a joke, like the similar joke, like if Woody was like, "Hey,
Buzz, would have gutted that moment.
Hey, Buzz, looks like we're going to be at a barbecue. We're at a barbecue, and we're the main course." Wouldn't it be great if you could somehow edit that movie and show it to someone who didn't see it yet and make them think that was the end of the movie? Like you just assume they're all dead and that's the end. Like it just cuts and you never see what happens after. Wouldn't that be like the darkest ending to a children's movie ever?
To be continued in like 6 years, because that's how long it takes to make a Toy Story movie.
That's true. I actually did like 4, but I thought 3 was a really nice way to just.
I don't think I saw 4. Yeah, that felt like a good ending.
It was a really nice way to end it. However, 4 sort of gives Woody a proper farewell, I guess.
If I can fly the Blackbird, I can fly the space shuttle.
Your chances of survival are too small to compute.
He says that, but he just sits down and he just starts hitting all these random buttons. Like, it's like you're not making your case very good.
And who says compute in a regular? It's like you're not a computer. Like your chances are too small to compute. He's such a pretentious. He's such a pretentious.
You watch your mouth.
I love him, but he's just so he's written like if Beast was a normal dude, that like he would be so exhausting to hang out with. Like if you're just like, hey Beast, how's it going? Oh, I cannot elucidate on the various comings and goings of my fortnight as my employer has seek to make life rather difficult for the old blue-head wonder you see sitting before you. Like you'd be.
That was pretty good, Beast. That was good beasting there.
I'll start writing a Beast comic.
Beast mode.
Marvel, hire me to write Beast mode. The new comic. Beast mode would be a great title for a Beast comic.
It would be. Let's write it. You draw it. I'll write it.
I want to write it. I'm more than just an artist. Speaking of which,
be my art monkey.
I had an idea for another Patreon thing, but we can talk about that later.
Good. I was going to talk to you about that later too. But anyway, there's this.
Jean,
Don't try to stop me, Logan.
I wouldn't. I just wanted to say good luck.
He wouldn't, and that's true.
We get old tender Wolverine back. That's my favorite Wolverine. Jean.
Yeah, man, mine too. In a lot of ways.
Jean. It's so funny when someone has to try to appear tough but also sweet at the same time. And with voice acting, it's got to be rough because your character is a certain way and you have a certain cadence to your voice that you generally do most of the time. But every once in a while,
if you're listening, which I assume you are,
we love you.
You nailed it, bud.
You nailed it, buddy. Just Jean. Just always so tortured and like lovelorn, but behind this really gruff exterior. I really
never loses the gruff. You can say anything and not lose the gruff.
So Cyclops, but we skipped over that. But Cyclops will not let her sacrifice herself. I mean, essentially, because she does have this ability.
He can fly the Blackbird.
However, she knocks him out using her powers, and then secures him and the rest of the X-Men in the shuttle and the survivors. I say survivors. No one's died. The other people that were on the ship that were knocked out. So then she goes in to manually pilot the shuttle using so Jean can just learn anything. She could go just touch
Professor does it all the time.
A concert pianist and just go do a concert at Carnegie Hall and nail it if she just read the mind from it. Why wouldn't you just do that all the time?
I mean, that's a good point, but I mean, you can only do so many things, so you still have your interests,
I suppose
not everyone's gonna want to play at Carnegie Hall.
You could be the best everything, it's sort of fit, anything, as long as it's not like you require to have a physical, basketball player. Maybe you could be good at knowing what stuff to do, but you obviously don't have the physical part that comes with that. But
if you were the best at everything, everyone would know you're a dirty, stinking mutant.
Oh dear God. That sort of behavior will not be tolerated here. We are a tolerant podcast, and we love our mutant friends.
We do.
Unlike those Albanians. Fuck those guys. No, I'm just kidding. Whoa, I'm kidding.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
Anyway.
I love all...
Gene hated your Albanian comment.
Out of context, that sounds vaguely sexual up until the very last cry, which also could be sexual depending on what kind of sex you're into. But just play that again and let our listeners listen, because that does sound vaguely sexual.
Let it be known that Andre's just turned on here and he's trying to
I'm
turn it
not
up.
turned on. I'm just saying, listen to it. Come on, you got to admit, I'm onto something there.
They have some great scream actors, though.
They do.
Could have been Lenore Zann and Catherine Disher could have been scream queens with their screams that they've been done in this show.
Lenore Zann has been in horror movies, so she's a scream.
True enough.
Happy birthday to me.
Who we're going to talk to next week, so look forward to that. There's Gene doing the noble sacrifice. Who'd have thought that was going to happen in this episode?
It's almost as if the title told us what was going to happen.
What?
So we just see the energy from the thing wrapping around her from the wake as she's flying the shuttle, and then she screams, and we get a very quick flash of the flaming phoenix itself, just as an image, nothing moving, but I think it's just
and it sort of echoes in her voice there a little.
It's kind of coming. So, and that ends our episode. To be continued with part 2, the Dark Shroud, which is the next episode.
Each of us have to look into his own heart and decide.
Look into your heart, André.
In my headphones, that was the loudest thing in the history of the universe. I think I maybe
really.
Yeah, it's quite
sorry,
loud.
everybody. I'll turn that effect down. In fact, I'll do it right now.
God,
so
all right. Thank you.
I actually turned the opening theme down because it was
blaringly loud, shattering your co-host's eardrums. Is that what's happening?
Well, I was worried about the listeners, but yes.
Why do I never remember to turn the lights on in this room? Because it always gets dark while we're doing this. Thankfully, I have a long cord on this on these headphones. All right, so
look into your own heart.
That's a dark place. I don't want to go in there. It's cold. It's cold and rock hard.
And here with you.
There's no warmth or
backwater
love there.
Minions.
So, would it be great if it turned out I2 was some kind of an alien from another planet that was just stationed here to monitor Earth and star and co-host an X-Men review podcast? It's my sole purpose. My Empire sent me here.
You could be a Plodex like Marina from Alpha Flight.
I don't like Plodex.
Did you like to be a Plodex?
I think I'd like to be whatever Zaphod Beeblebrox was on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is my favorite book. Can't remember what kind of alien he was. He was great. All right, so I don't know. Is there an immortal alien? I'd rather be one of the ones that live forever, like maybe eternity,
like an eternal.
Yeah, like one of those.
One of the Eternals.
Ego the Living Planet or one of those. I'll take him. Not evil like in the movie, but in the comics he's not really evil. So indifferent.
You don't want to be an actual physical planet. That doesn't sound fun.
He took a human form. He impregnated people. He had a good time. He was doing all right. He does look like Kurt Russell, who was a very handsome man. So there's that too. Yeah. So 1 to 10, I mean, this one didn't blow me away. There's a lot. Like I know it's all set up to get the Phoenix Force to Jean Grey. So I'd say like a 7. Like I wouldn't say it was bad, but I would say, I don't know. Like there's some good dialogue and there's some fun stuff. I could say it borders on a 7 or an 8, but I'll go with 8.
Stick to your convictions.
I'll go with 7. I feel like there's good enough dialogue here, but I mean, there's no real villain. Eric the Red's not overly exciting in this episode. He just gasses them and then monologues and then runs away. So and I know it's all set up for the Phoenix Force, which is great. I mean, it's a good stepping stone, but I feel like you probably need to rate this whole story by itself to get the full measure. But as an episode by itself,
we'll do that at the end.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. But as an episode by itself, I'm sure it's definitely part of a whole. So it's unfair to give it a rating on its own, but that is what we do here. So 7. I'll stick with 7.
We beg to differ.
I was thinking about that the other day. I haven't heard that one in a while. So what are you going to be, like a 10?
No, it was a 9 though. I was bouncing between 8 and 9.
9 seems high to me.
Because I have to listen to everything back to do the sound effects. The dialogue is just so on point. I was laughing, actually. It's pretty good. I didn't really care that Eric the Red sucked because he doesn't suck because his name's Davan, so he's actually really awesome. And he's named after a Viking. Like, we have a lot in common, me and Eric the Red. But, so he's awesome. And he's also...
Eric the Red, I got it.
So it's a 9 because Beast is hilarious in this episode, and so is Wolverine, and so is Gambit. And Cyclops does this subtle humor that I think we haven't given him enough credit for in this entire series so far, but he does it quite a bit in this episode, where it's just the thing he says so seriously is like such a laugh that he would say it so seriously. He does that a lot. And like especially like in regards to like going to space and whatever. It's like, yeah, well, Professor says we're going to space, so we're going to space. It's just like, who says that, man? Like, what are you talking about? You guys don't know how to go to space?
A brainwashed child soldier, that's who says that.
Well, that's fair. It's pretty much it's like bullshit. But all right.
Hey, if our Lord and Master wants us to go to space, that's where we're going.
This is a young Cyclops. He changes
don't question
that
the leader. The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will and our estate.
Uncanny X points. I suppose I can go first. All right. This episode starts off with a 2-minute battle scene with pretty much no dialogue at all, except for like do your Professor X impression for us, Andre. Yeah, there's some of that in Lalandra says, "Help me, Charles Xavier." But it's just a straight 2-minute battle scene, and it actually keeps your interest. That's another reason it's got a 9 for me. It had a lot of different things going on. Like normally action scenes in movies or cartoons or anything don't really do it for me. But I found this one pretty good. There's a lot of different... Every time they would change the scene in that 2-minute battle scene, it was something completely different happening. It wasn't like a zoom in on the battle that you're witnessing, but going to something else that's happening in the battle. And, it was pretty engaging, I thought.
I can see that.
2 minutes though. I timed it. 2 minutes, a little over actually. I think.
Yeah, that is really wow. That is it was mostly all just space stuff. Shooting at
it was all space stuff. Yeah, and your impression.
All right, my first point before I forget it is this is the first time we've seen Gambit. Maybe in the entire series, I can't remember if it in Externally Yours we see him not wearing the Gambit outfit that he's always wearing.
Right, because we laugh about how he's always wearing it.
Maybe in the flashback, when he was like with the Tad and all that, he might have been wearing an old outfit back then, chap. But
you know what? I think he was back then too, though.
I think he was as well. I think this is the first time in the entire series when he appears after his night in the town. He looks like we see him in his civvies, which is the first time I think in this entire series. So 2.5 seasons or 2 in seasons of them change that we've seen him wearing. And not in his outfit. He looks good. I like the ponytail. I think it's a nice touch. I like that his outfit
hides his formal wear. And during the wedding, he had the ponytail as well.
Well, based on that is true, but based on his, you don't really see based on his normal outfits. It's hidden by the thing that goes around his head. That he has a ponytail, so it's always a nice touch to. He'll give his ponytail to our chef. And he looks pretty classy. Do you have a photo? Do you have a photo here of Gambit? Old classic Gambit.
I don't think so.
You piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, or was he in this one?
Nope. I like how Beast.
Yeah, we got some pomade dish, yeah.
Beast sleepwear is literally more clothes than his fighting wear. Like it's just like, he's wearing like boxers, and then like he's wearing like tight little tight trunks when he's superheroing, which I think is funny. So anyway, we get to see civilian Gambit.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Speaking of Gambit, someone we hadn't seen.
Rogue is still out on a mission.
We haven't seen Rogue all season.
No, that's not true.
It is true. There's only been the 2-parter out of the past 2-parter, and now this.
Oh, correct. Yeah, she hasn't been here yet, so she's on a mission somewhere.
Yeah, but it's funny that I was wondering about it because I was like, "Where's Rogue and all this?" And then there's that little cover line there. She's out on a mission. Now, I wonder if we're ever going to see what that mission is.
It'd be cool if we did. Maybe somewhere between. I don't know if she's back as part of the Phoenix Saga. Maybe she comes back after this part's over. I don't know.
Maybe I'll ask Lenore Zan if she was on vacation. Like, where were you at the beginning of season 3?
It'd be weird because you think about how much work it would be to to coordinate that. Like, say someone was on vacation. It's funny, interesting side fact. This can kind of play into this idea. The only reason kryptonite was invented in Superman was on the Superman radio dramas. The actor that played Superman wanted a vacation, and because it was a daily show, he couldn't leave. He had to be around to record almost every day. So they came up with some storyline idea that Superman's incapacitated by something, which means he can't talk or he's like in a coma. And then the rest of the Jimmy and the rest of his sidekicks had to like band together to try to save him. And that thing being kryptonite, which had later on entered the comic canon and became a thing. So, just the fact that the voice actor that played Superman on the radio show needed some time off. That's why we have kryptonite. So there you go. Little extra history for you. Okay. My next point, the Starscore space shuttle that the X-Men commandeered to reach the space station is very similar in design to the NASA STS shuttle that was in use at that time. So the animators obviously had been paying attention to what was going on with NASA at the time. I don't believe we had any space stations at that time that were like super advanced in watching wormholes, but at least they were paying attention to what was going on Earth at that time with the real NASA stuff. The spacesuits they wear actually look very similar to the Orlan spacesuits that the Russians use in the space program. So I really like that they kind of, match some different things going on with Earth space stuff to make that episode work.
All right. Well, I'm going to branch off your point for my next one as well. Let me bring up an image here.
Is it the space station? Is it the Star Trek symbol?
Yes.
Yeah, it does look
they're
like
in,
it does.
They're in Starfleet. They call it Star Corps, but they're all in Starfleet. It even has the circle around it, like that. The Starfleet official one has that little circle.
Maybe it's a prerequisite
in Starfleet.
Maybe it's a prerequisite of maybe the Star Trek and the X-Men anime universe are in the same universe. Maybe Star Corps was the precursor for Starfleet.
That's the universe I want to live in. Those are like my favorite things. So.
One that smashes those two together.
Yeah, X-Men and Star Trek. That's where I'm gonna live. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place to be. I would say good place to be. All right, hold on. I had another moment point here.
Hope so. This is only number 3.
Oh God. Well,
I get extras if you don't have enough.
No. I generally try to make this happen organically as we walk through the episode because it reminds me of things as we're going. And generally, it hasn't served me wrong, and it's still not doing too bad. Eric the Red's design, I'll go with that. That is one thing I wrote down. I like it a lot. I always find it interesting. Like he's called Eric the Red. He doesn't look he kind of looks Viking. He's got the horns and all that sort of stuff, which is interesting.
He has an X on his stomach.
Yeah, of course he does. This is the X-Men show. So I'm wondering if perhaps as he spent his time on Earth learning about different conquerors and people that have been known. Perhaps you know more about this character than I do, obviously, but in the comics. But perhaps there's some influence on why he chose that name, and it may not be share related, but related to his time on Earth.
Well, I don't have any specific information about that, but what I will say is his story in the comics is very much like this. He's stationed on Earth by Daken. He doesn't get to leave. He just lives in a mountain in the comics, and he just watches for any threats or for Lilandra or any distance to Lilandra, basically. Yeah, so that's it. It's basically the same story. He wants off Earth. He hates it. Job. Eric Red. Now, so all I could say is he has been stationed on Earth for a very long time. So
that's why he's probably so bitter.
Earth, and he probably did learn of Eric the Red, maybe, and it's one of the things he hates the least, perhaps. At least in the idea.
Perhaps that's why he's so bitter.
Yeah. Our buddy Nicholas agrees. Why would an alien be named after an Earth explorer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I'd call Eric the Red an explorer, more like a murderer, but
wow.
He was kicked off of Iceland because he murdered a guy, so then he had to go to Greece.
Come on, Davan. Would you call Christopher Columbus a murderer?
I might, Rabbit. I might.
I think you probably should.
But yeah, my next point, I guess. I was just branching off yours there. Well, the voice of Eric the Red is done by Lawrence
Oh, I
Bain,
think you're going to say the same thing I was going to say. Go ahead.
who's the voice of Cable as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you can hear it. But also starred in the very famous Canada famous TV show La Femme Nikita.
Yes, that is Canada famous. I mean, it was based on a movie by Luc
was.
Besson, who was a very famous director and writer who wrote, among other things, Leon the Professional, The Fifth Element, which is a masterpiece in my opinion. The Fifth Element is a masterpiece. But my next point, I'll branch off on yours, is he also did the voice of Professor Xavier in the X-Men Mutant Academy video game from 2000.
Oh, what?
So, he, the one that came out for, I think it was for Wii, maybe 2000. Wait, was that Wii? GameCube? GameCube. So, 2000 would be GameCube. So, yeah. He, amongst that, he's X-Men series' Cable. He's also Fabian Cortez as well in Nathan Summers. But he's been on so many like painfully Canadian shows, like La Femme Nikita, which is one. He did the Donkey Kong cartoon, which was filmed here as well back then.
Was he Donkey Kong?
No, he was Critter in Inka Dinka Doo.
He also auditioned for Wolverine.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He was on Psy Factor. He was on the Silver Surfer cartoon as well, which we're going to talk about at some point. The Flash Gordon.
I like Psy Factor. That was
that was good. The Adventures of Sinbad, which had George Buzza on it as well. He was the main character in that show. Highlander animated series, Gargoyles, RoboCop TV series, which was filmed in Canada. A lot of painfully Canadian, which just came out on Blu-ray actually. The entire RoboCop TV show, which is delightfully and painfully.
This is great stuff you're talking about.
Counter-Strike, like all of these.
Danger Bay.
He's also in Pink
Danger
Floyd.
Bay?
A Pink Floyd music video is one of his very first credits from 1987. Oh, I love Danger Bay when I was a kid. He was a Native American.
Of course you did. It was on CBC.
That's the only thing I could watch. I watched 3 things. Danger Bay was one of them. Oh, and Forever Night, which is also a painfully Canadian show as well. Which actually is a really cool idea that I think could be
a lot of people in the X-Men animated series were on Forever Night.
I really feel like that's one that could use a redo. It's a great idea about a cop who's secretly a vampire. Yeah. Although I don't know why his job allows him to only be a cop at nighttime. but apparently it works out somehow.
It's just one of those things. It's like our superhero we invented, who his power.
Oh, I meant to draw him. Shit. Okay, I got to find some time to do that.
We'll get there. We'll remind him. All right, my last point is the poem "Charge of the Light Brigade" by Tennyson. It's a great poem, one of my favorites actually. It's about British light cavalry in the Crimean War. Superior Russian force and ordered by a commanding officer who basically bought his position. He would buy several positions because that was the thing. He would just buy a position and then go on half pay so you don't get sent anywhere. And then another better position comes up. You buy that one and then you work your way up. So he was not a particularly good officer and ran the Light Brigade into an impossible suicide charge, and they indeed all died. And Tennyson read about this like a week later, after it happened back in London. And then he wrote the poem there. Yeah, so it's like it was fresh too, worthy of a poem, and I agree because it's a great poem.
Yes, very classic. It's funny because I say that line a lot. Like if you spend time around me, if you work with me, anytime someone I work with complains about something, I usually say ours is not, or why are we doing this, or why are they asking us to do that? I often say ours is not the reason why. Ours is to simply do and die, and or just to do and die. Whatever, I can't remember the exact quote, but which is funny that it came up. I think I said it literally a day ago or 2 days ago, and then it just came up.
Great quote.
So it's one that has been in my lexicon for quite a while now, which is quite funny that it showed up here once again. My final point is Lilandra Niramani, who is the sister of Diken. Is that right?
Sister, yeah.
Yeah. So this is like we've barely seen her. They've been having her appearance on like Super Drip Feed here. Like she literally is, excuse me, in a mask here, just kind of a faint image in Xavier's mind when he was having that kind of thing after he was cycling. No, the first time he was like, the first time, when Deathstrike was touching the ship and he's getting that psychic feedback.
So much power.
Yeah, exactly. So, just interesting, interesting way of bringing her in the show and really, really slowing down. I'm assuming the show is going to go into her and Xavier having a relationship like it happened in the comics too, but we'll see how that pans out. But it's very interesting that they've kept it on a super slow drip feed with this character. That's my final point.
Yeah. All right, that was final points. Cool. Well, moving along.
Hey, check this out.
You got something for us?
Is this the comic one?
This is our comic book reminiscences and recommendations segment.
You should do yours first. I think you should probably do yours first, since yours are always X-Men related and mine are always something different.
I agree. All right, let's do it. So, last week I said I didn't have any issues of the Phoenix Saga. I actually do have the last one, and I'm going to recommend it. So I'll recommend the Phoenix Saga. That's what everyone's expecting.
I was going to say, you probably should.
Uncanny X-Men, number 108.
It's like I only recommend Godfather 3, not 1 and 2.
You don't get to say that name around.
Actually, most people do not like the third one. So,
it's not great. I'm not even a huge fan of the second one. People love it. But
really, most people.
First one's the best movie ever.
Most people loop 1 and 2 together as one movie, really.
Anyway, so Uncanny X-Men 108. It's the end of the Phoenix Saga, and then there's a break before the Dark Phoenix Saga, just like in this show. But what's I think particularly special about this issue is this is the first John Byrne on X-Men. This is where he takes over from Dave Cockrum. So you get to see the transition because this is a Cockrum cover here. And I've said it before, Cockrum's art's never been my super favorite, other than I like his Storm a fair bit. And the Nightcrawler look. I've never liked his Colossus, for example. So you get the Cockrum, and then you open it up, and you get to see this super crisp, very detailed John Byrne art. This is good stuff. And it's a good issue. It's got the Avengers, it's got the Fantastic Four, Starjammers, Jean doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the Phoenix, and they're fighting this like neutron dimension, and Lilandra comes out of it in the end. Anyway, spoiler alert. But it's a good issue. First John Byrne on X-Men. Check it out. You get to see the transition. But it's also very funny at the end because they do like this, like in memoriam of Dave Cockrum, and he is dead now, I do believe, but he wasn't at this time. But they're just like in memory of Dave Cockrum, and he's like,
I'm still alive.
I'm not dead. Yeah,
that's really good.
Where's that page? You do yours, and I'll look for that page. There's a lot of ads in old comics.
Alrighty, so my comic I just read Sunday, which I was been a fan of this artist for a while. Oh,
there it
is. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm not
dead. Very clever. I like when they slip some of that humor in some of that old stuff. My comic, when I was in PEI this past weekend, I stopped at the Comic Hunter and I picked up a book that I've always wanted to read for a while because I was a big fan of this guy's work. Most specifically, his work on a book called My Friend Dahmer, which you may be familiar with. He is a comic writer and artist who went to high school with Jeffrey Dahmer. Coincidentally, when he was in high school, he wrote a book about it, explaining sort of what it was like going to school with this guy, how kind of strange he was. And it wasn't sensationalist. It wasn't something you expect from a tabloid. He even says in the opening credit of it, this isn't meant to explain his behavior or to excuse it. They say, the book itself was just, which I'm talking about this a lot, but he says it's just to show the facts as they were stated to me, and say how, if somebody had paid attention to this guy at all, perhaps he wouldn't have went down the road he went down, or at least someone would have caught it before it got to where it went to. But it's a very interesting book. It's very well done. It won a bunch of awards, and it was made into a movie, which I have not seen, but I'd like to someday. But he had a second book, which followed that one, called Trashed, which is the one I picked up, which is about life as a Durf Backdurf is his pen name. I don't know if they say his real name.
Durf Backdurf.
I don't know if they say his actual name. Is it John Backdurf? I think it's John Backdurf. I don't know if Backdurf's the actual name. Anyway, anyway, he that's his pen name and has been for a while. Like it's Fred, or Fred. So anyway, he it's about his life. It's based on story. It's a fictional story, but it's based very deeply on his experiences working as a garbage man when he was like in his early 20s out of college. And they have a lot of statistics about garbage and what happens to it, and explains about recycling, how much garbage the average household creates in the run of a day, which is wholly depressing. Especially if you look at it for a year. For instance, here's a line that's showing how much one person, how much per family garbage it produced in, I think it's a year. And they explain, so I'll give you this just very briefly. The EPA figure of 2.89 pounds per person a day of trash is pretty low, but that's what they said. But most people say it's low. Columbia University finds their annual garbage total isn't 254 million tons, but 389 million tons. We recycle only 29%, not the 34.3% the EPA claims. This is an American book, so you can see why. The truth, each of us make about 5.6 pounds of garbage a day. No big deal, right? That doesn't seem like much. Even if the guy makes almost twice as much.
That does seem like a lot, actually.
Even if the guy, well, you get smart. Even this guy makes twice about as much trash as EPA estimates he does. That's still just one 5-pound bag. But that one bag turns into 35 pounds of trash a week, roughly 150 pounds a month, and 1,847 pounds a year. And then that's only for one person. So a family of four tosses away 1,460 bags a year, weighing over 7,387 pounds of garbage. And they show what happens like in garbage centers, what happens in dumps, and how they work, which is actually pretty informative, about how they build them into cubes and then essentially just keep piling them on top of themselves until they eventually stop doing it, and then just make it a field again. And then
generations. It's like this is the fourth generation dump.
And then what happens to those fields? Some become golf courses, some become grazing land for cattle. Also, the things they put in place to stop them from leaking into groundwater, how that fails almost every single time. It's wholly depressing, but very interesting. And there's a lot of really cool stuff there. I think it makes for a great film, but it's a really good book. It's really fun. And there's always a lot of heart to his stuff, even if it's just stories about your job. The relationships between people is quite interesting. And there's a hipster character in here who is quite funny. So it's definitely a great book. Check it out. Trash by Durf Backdurf.
Durf Backdurfs. With a name like that, how can you go wrong?
I mean, he's kind of like one of the alternative comic guys up there with Peter Baggy and those sort of guys. But his real name is John Backdurf. So
Backdurf is a name. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The VCR killed the radio star. The VCR killed the radio star.
VCR killed the radio star. My VCR with André. What do you got for us, André?
I feel like I should only pick movies. I have not picked movies because last week was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I should only pick movies that were on VCR because like VHS tape releases, because that would make sense. Perhaps
you can do that from now on. I do like to
I can, but I do like to draw attention to maybe movies out there now that you haven't seen. I have yet to see Thor. Point. I have yet to see Thor, which I'm sure I'm going to love based on the reviews. I'm hoping to see it this week. So I went in my movie room and I just grabbed a random movie. I did get a copy of Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was at the video store that I went to in Moncton when I was wrestling there on the weekend.
And Medicine Man. Did you get a copy of that as well?
I did not get Medicine Man. Although I used to have a DVD copy of it hanging around. I'm not sure. Yeah, I do have a DVD copy of it somewhere. Because Jen
Medicine Man?
The one with Sean Connery?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. But when Jen moved in, she brought some of her DVDs. She had like 10 DVDs, and I just pulled them into my pile. And one of them was Medicine Man, which I've never watched.
Oh, get Jen in here. She probably has a better taste in movies than you.
Oh my goodness! You shut your whore mouth right now before I drive to Eastern Passage and beat the holy hell out of you.
Well, at least we can do that video game segment.
That's true. While
you
when you have like a black, guy, and
after
you're,
you're right.
you're sitting there all beating up with a black guy. And we're playing a video game together. It's just really quiet in Somber because no one wants to talk. So my choice is I don't know if I've talked about how much I love John Carpenter in this show.
I
deeply love John Carpenter, very much so. And
Thing's one of my favorite movies.
The Thing is probably one of the best, if not the best, horror film of all time, and definitely science fiction. It's up there. It's fantastic, underappreciated at the time. Now heralded as a cult classic, it deserves to be known as. But many of his movies suffered a similar fate. For instance, The Fog is a kind of a horror classic now. Didn't do super well at the time. I mean, obviously we all know Halloween. Everybody loves Halloween.
I love.
They Live is a classic as well, and a fantastic film. And there's always some social commentary in there about, The Thing is wholly about distrust, about cultural distrust, not knowing who to trust in a situation like that, which is great. Most people don't realize this, but Quentin Tarantino kind of said that The Hateful Eight was almost a remake of The Thing, because it's a bunch of people stuck in a home in winter, not knowing who to trust.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting. The Fog, of course, a fantastic movie, and very underrated movie, which I referenced last week, was The Prince of Darkness, which I thought about bringing up this week, but I did talk about
and a great musician.
Oh, fantastic musician! It scores. The new Firestarter movie was not good at all. Don't watch it. But the score was by.
But listen to it. Close your eyes.
The score was by him, which is the best part by far. In fact, John Carpenter almost directed the original Firestarter movie that they made in the 80s.
I remember that movie.
That Mark Lester did. He was supposed to, but because The Thing didn't do that well in the cinemas, and they thought the script that he had brought forward was too expensive, they scrapped him and got Mark Lester to do it. But so in kind of reverence of that, they got him to do the score for the new one, although it is by far the best part. However, in naming all his movies, there are ones that others may think weren't as good. Escape from New York is a cult classic and deserves to be. Escape from LA I actually really like as well, even though it's not.
I love Escape from LA. I know,
although it's shit on by a lot of people, but it's still a very fun movie in my opinion.
I love the basketball scene.
I like the fighting on surfboard scene with him and Peter Fonda, and Steve Buscemi running around, and even Bruce Campbell showing up all messed up with the obsessed with plastic surgery guy.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for that one. I like it better than Escape from New York, actually.
I have yet to see. There's a couple of his movies. There's a couple of movies I haven't seen yet, but very few, and I'm kind of saving them for special occasions. One is Ghosts of Mars, which I know most people don't like. But I'm still excited to watch it. I did watch his.
Even as a kid, I didn't really like Ghost of Mars. It's just kind of boring.
It was supposed to be Escape from Earth. Originally, was the script, and Ice Cube's character would have been Kurt Russell again, Snake Plissken. But because the studio pushed for Ice Cube to be the star, and they wanted to get away from the Snake Plissken stuff because Escape from LA didn't do that well, they changed him to like Desolation Jones or something. What's his name? Something like that. He's got a name like that. It's something like that. But he actually, I think that's a Warren Ellis character, but it's Desolation something is his name. So yeah, there are other movies like John Carpenter's Vampires. I actually recently rewatched, which actually is a really fun movie. Once again, he said it was the movie of his that made the most money, which I think is funny because it's got James Woods in it, and the bad guy is Terry Silver from Cobra Kai, which is fun. So I never saw The Ward, which is his newest film, and I haven't seen his Elvis movie with Kurt Russell, or
you mean Baba Hotep?
No, that wasn't him. That was Don Coscarelli, the guy who did the Phantasm movies, did that movie. But he did an actual biopic of Elvis called Elvis with Kurt Russell.
Oh, that new one?
No. This is like in the 90s.
Okay.
The new one is Baz Luhrmann, the guy that did like Great Gatsby and all that stuff. But so anyway, a lot of great movies out there. If you ever want to talk John Carpenter, I'm here. But the one that I think is very underappreciated and should be watched by everybody, because Carpenter wanted to do H.P. Lovecraft's in the Mountains of Madness, was unable to get the rights to that at the time because they were either tied up with the studio or something, and instead wrote his own version of a Lovecraftian horror epic called In the Mouth of Madness. This is the Scream Factory release starring Sam
The
Neill.
Multiverse of Madness?
No, just in the Mouth of Madness. We got Sam Neill. You may know from Jurassic Park and a bunch of other great movies.
Yeah.
It's inspired by Lovecraft. It's an amazing story that is deeply Lovecraftian. If you like Lovecraft stuff, like Reanimator and the stuff that's kind of vaguely based on it. This, of course, doesn't have as much humor, but it's a very interesting story. Carpenter doesn't just give you a horror movie; he gives you a horror movie with something to think about. And this movie will certainly leave you thinking about it for weeks, if not years to come. It's a fantastic film. It's about a best-selling author who writes all these books, a Stephen King type named Stutter Kane, I believe is his name, goes missing after his big book is supposed to come out. Actually, no, sorry, it just came out, but the writer vanishes. The book is supposedly driving people insane that are reading it. And Neil plays an investigator that is paid for by the writing company that this guy works for. John Trent's his name, to go find him. There's a town apparently that shows up on the map that didn't exist before, that was only featured in his books, that he goes to try to find him, and it goes super crazy from there. And I don't want to tell you. Is it in
Maine?
I don't think so. But it does a very interesting idea of blending fact and fiction, what's real, what's not, what becomes real, and sort of a lot of questioning of reality and that sort of stuff. But it's a beautiful film, and if you love Lovecraft, you're doing yourself. You should definitely watch it. Go watch it. It's lovely.
All right. Do it. Mouth of Madness. From the mouth of André.
Have you seen it, Deb? Ooh.
I've seen some clips, but I've not seen the movie.
And I'm going to give you a side recommendation just because I probably will. I might do it someday, but I might
Medicine
not.
Man?
No, Event Horizon.
Oh, I've seen Event Horizon a bunch of times.
Which is a deeply underrated movie.
Another Sam Neill.
Another Sam Neill film that also has a Lovecraftian bend to it.
Yeah, like opening the gate to hell and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but in space, so you get all that.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's
a fan. You know what? And there's a cut of that movie that, because the studio cut that movie down, and somewhere there's a director's cut that got lost to the ages. That would have been very interesting to see with way more gore and stuff in it. But standalone as a movie by itself, it's fantastic.
We'll put my root down, Krakoan Gardening with Davan. What are we going to talk about today? Maybe we'll talk about aphids. So, aphids. You got an aphid problem? It happens. It's not you. It's the aphids. Actually, you know what? It's not the aphids. It's the ants. The ants. They herd them. They hurt for their sweet, sweet honeydew.
Do the ants kill the aphids and take the honeydew? Like, what's happening?
No, they just like farm them so that as the aphids feed, they regurgitate the honeydew.
And the ants take it.
Yeah, they eat the honeydew.
What is this stuff? Me and my wife were talking about this stuff you put in your garden that's like some kind of soil that has rocks in it that apparently shreds insects that walk through it.
Diatomaceous earth?
That's what it's called. Is that as good as people say it is, or is it just like a horrible way to kill bugs?
It's fine, but you have to reapply it after each time it rains because it just gets clumpy.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? I put it directly on the aphids, and it just works so slowly. Like I come out the next day, and the aphids are still there. I mean, I use diatomaceous earth, I do, but so it's one thing you can do. But really, if you have an aphid problem, you probably have an ant problem. So figure out where your ants are hiding, whether you have like a brick pile or like rotten wood or something. Deal with that situation first. And then you can work, on your diatomaceous earth. But what I do is just discourage the ants. It's gruesome, but if you just go around and just by hand squish all the aphids, it's gross. I know. Squish those aphids, though.
You're a monster.
They're born pregnant. You have to do it. I know. And Ruth made it sound even worse. But anyway.
I'm sorry, gentle listeners. I didn't realize I was working with the sociopath here.
But the ants will be discouraged, and they'll just take their honeydew farm elsewhere. I was shocked. I was about to order like parasitic wasps and all kinds of stuff off the internet. And then a couple of days later, I realized that my squishing technique, as you may call it,
Your squishing
And
campaign
discourage the ants in all of my plans for like
broke their
clear.
will by murdering them indiscriminately. Is that what you're trying to say?
Murdering their livestock. Yes.
Well, okay.
I discourage the ants by murdering the livestock of the ants. Yes.
Listen, Devin, I respect.
This has been Root Down, Cracone Gardening with Davin. Look, shit's real.
Moving along
Krakoa.
before Andre accuses me of being a monster. One more time.
Exactly. Well, now I get it's time to lighten things up and play a game. Whoops! No! Oh, that Phoenix. Wasn't quite the right theme, but I'll make it work. Make a mutant. Let's do it again.
Are we doing this every week now?
No, but we're gonna do it 2 weeks in a row.
All right. So to reassess the rules, we each come up with a physical characteristic and then a power characteristic.
Yeah.
So last time it was a mulleted ladies man, a mulleted
soul patched,
a mulleted soul patched character who was irresistible to women, but at nighttime he was repellent to women.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So let's do a female character this time. That'll be
agreed.
All right. Any physical characteristic whatsoever?
Sure.
She's Canadian.
That's a physical characteristic?
Okay, she's a redhead.
That's all Canadian women are.
No, my wife's a Canadian woman. She's a redhead. There you go. No, but let's just say she's a redhead.
Redheaded Canadian. She's Heather Hudson. All right, we're going with it.
Is she blonde? Isn't Heather Hudson blonde?
No, redhead.
Is Wolverine just every romantic interest in his life as a redhead?
Yes.
Interesting. What about Eureka? She doesn't have red hair.
Except when he goes to Japan.
Well, that's because it's pretty rare
when
to
he
find
goes to get away from the redheads. Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find a redheaded Japanese woman.
Yeah. Anyway, so all right. So I need a physical characteristic now. So we have a redheaded Canadian with. Okay, so there's one. So you see characters that have like, or in fiction that have like one ear, or even like one eye, you know, like Odin, or even like one tooth, but you never see a character with one nostril.
What are you? What? Who's gonna draw a one nostril character? What are you talking about?
You are.
No way. It's ridiculous. Why are we doing this? What nostril? Like just in the center? Is she an alien?
Yeah, I think so.
She's an alien.
I don't know. She's Canadian. You said.
Well, no, we didn't. That didn't count. So we'll say she has to be. If she only has one nostril in the center, she's got to be an alien.
Okay, then. She's a mutant. But she could be a mutant alien like Brew.
Okay, let's say she's half alien then. That makes more sense. Like her mother's an alien and she's a mutant human, I guess. Or Jesus.
What are her powers?
It's getting complicated. Smell. She can smell really well. That's her power.
Through her one nostril.
Yeah, it's like a huge nostril. Like it's just like the whole bottom of the nose is one big hole. And it makes her smell better.
Okay. And it makes her smell better. Okay. Well, one of Ladies Man's powers was also strong cologne, so.
Well, I think
but it wasn't really cologne. It's just
like power. It's just him. Yeah.
It's his essence.
All right. So what's there? Are those the two traits?
Secondary power. So she can smell really good. And, well, she's an alien. So, I would say she probably is also super strong. Because she comes from a planet with denser gravity. So she comes to Earth and she's just like super strong. Like it's like us on the moon, you know? So.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is Essence.
Super strong and she can smell super strong.
And her name is Essence.
Essence. I like it. I like it.
So you have Essence and
This is a great team we have so far.
And we should make her skin a different color to make her alien.
Yeah, that's fine.
Blue, like light blue, light blue with red hair.
Okay, that works for me. Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna have to listen to these episodes again to get these.
No, not blue with red hair. That's too mystique. Make her purple with red hair.
Okay.
Or blue with purple hair.
Yeah, blue with purple hair. Well, that's Nebula, but all right, we'll go with that.
Oh, then purple with blue hair. Who's that? Nobody.
All right, that's good. We'll go with that.
Okay, maybe we just figured out a new color combination. Dave Cutler, you can use that if you like. No problem at all. No problem at all. All right, let's move it along.
Hey, look who I found coming to join the party.
Glad y'all decided to join the party.
Party like it's apostrophe 97. Well, there was a little news that we can talk about in Party like it's apostrophe 97. Disney Plus or Disney or Marvel, whoever it might be, did say that they're gonna release the first footage of X-Men 97 at San Diego Comic-Con.
Ooh, that'll be exciting.
We'll have boots on the ground. We'll have boots on the ground at San Diego Comic-Con.
Excellent.
So hopefully we can snag an exclusive of some sort.
Oh, that'll be good. Wait, we're having boots on the ground at San Diego Comic-Con? It's going to be
we have boots on the ground with our media mogul, J. Jameel Robinson.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Jameel. Let us know how it goes. You're the man.
Phone a friend. That's us. We'll figure it out. We'll get the exclusives. Get right in there to that X-Men panel. We'll live stream it illegally. We'll do what we have to do.
Don't admit that. Come on. Let's admit
I didn't mean that at all. Of course not.
Yes.
Still, we have boots on the ground. We're big time over here at X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
That's true. We are indeed big time.
Big time, and which is a great Spider-Man run. Everyone should.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well,
Homework from Professor André.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. You need to watch part 2 of the Phoenix Saga. The Dark Shroud, is that what I said it was called?
I believe so, yeah.
The Dark Shroud. I closed down my window that had that on it. Let me look again to double check. However, I'm pretty sure it's the Dark Shroud, which sounds like a pretty provocative title, does it not? The Dark Shroud, correct.
That's like something Storm might say. Fog, shroud these enemies in darkness.
In which we get a return of some characters we've met before, including old Juggernaut, who brings some friends along with him, and some new characters, like Black Tom Cassidy.
Cool Black Tom, a gardener like myself.
And Peter Corbeau returns and a few other characters as well. But in the meantime, we watch that episode. Disney Plus is where I've been watching it, so check it out.
Tell us about the Graphic Histories podcast, André.
Well, sir, this week's episode will be with I believe same one as last time, because it's only bi-weekly I do them, is with Jeff Smith. Not that Jeff Smith, sadly, the creator of Bone. However, this Jeff Smith, who is the creator of the Comic Hunter, which is a comic store that's out here in the East Coast. There's one in Moncton, a very rather huge one in Moncton, which is getting a new location. They just bought a building, and then there's one in Charlottetown where it started. I believe there's one in Fredericton as well. So Jeff's a very interesting guy. He's a musician, loves comics, loves the organization of comics. I just dropped in on his store when I was in PEI this past weekend, and we hung out. That's where I bought trash from. So Jeff's a really cool guy. We have great. It's funny because he thought it was a video podcast, so he brought some visual aids along. But it actually worked really well because he would walk through the comics that were important at different stages of his life. So he was going with the store and all the other things he did. So, humble beginnings from having a table in a mall selling comics from a collection he bought, all the way to having multiple stores all across the East Coast. And a really cool guy, really fun. I love talking to comic store people because they have lots of interesting stories, what's going on in the industry at different points when they were around selling stuff. So, and seeing these booms, like he got into selling comics right around the time it became a huge thing. So it's interesting talk. Yeah, it'll be up this Saturday. Do it up. And next week I'll be talking to Jim Rugg, who works, and then that'll be the next episode, but that'll be 2 weeks from this Saturday, who works on the X-Men Grand Design comic and the Hulk Grand Designs from Marvel Comics, the hip hop what are they called? Hip Hop Family Tree comics, I think. Really cool guy. Very excited to talk to him as well. So he's coming up too.
Very cool.
He does a podcast as well. I think it's Comic Kayfabe, which is rather popular. So,
much like our own.
Exactly.
I have another podcast, Computers of Trek. We're sort of on hiatus. Don't give up on us. We'll be back.
Didn't you just have a new one recently?
It was supposed to happen. But anyway, it's going to happen. We'll be back. Listen to my cousin's podcast, Live Long and Podcast. They do lots of stuff over there. They're doing trivial debates as well. I recently appeared on that. We'll get André on there eventually. Check out Super Mater Brothers podcast as well. A lot of the current shows of the day. All informed, which they do so well. So, speaking of information and being informed, if you'd like to support the show, you can now at patreon.com/XFN Review Show. There's a few different tiers there. I finally have you can get shout outs on the show. Speaking of shout outs, we love you, Jamil. Jamil's a Patreon patron.
Was Jamil our first patron?
Yes, we should owe him a no prize.
I believe so. At least a drink if he ever makes it out to the East Coast.
Jamil, come to the East Coast and claim your no prize and beer.
And beer.
But yeah, you can get a sticker that looks very much like this if you were to donate $5 a month for 3 months. They will send you this sticker. Half of your donation will go to this price of this sticker. Half of it to us, your dear podcast hosts.
One thing I've been thinking about offering, and this I just want to make sure that I can do this. I will do when I have a little extra time. Is we talked about somebody who was doing art where they did the photo from Jean Grey and all that sort of stuff. I think I'm going to draw the Jean Grey Scott photo that Wolverine hasn't framed. I think we should offer that. I think we could do a print where I could draw that same scene, so that if you hit a certain tier, you'll get a glossy photograph of that image that you can frame yourself and have in your home.
You're going to draw it like original?
Tried my best to make it look exactly like the one from the show.
Okay, Dan Biesenmeyer is selling that print at San Diego Comic-Con.
Who is?
Dan Biesenmeyer. He does the art for the toys as well.
Oh, is he do the art on the show? Am I ripping him off?
He's selling that very print, yeah.
That's
print. Maybe don't do that. Yeah, that's a big thing. We'll have our boots on the ground checking that out. Maybe we can get Jamil to talk to Dan Biesenmeyer for us and pick us up a print. Jamil, pick me up a print. I want the robe.
All right. Well, I'll come up with something else then. I'll draw some kind of print that you can get from.
Back to the drawing board with André.
Fine. I thought I was having a clever idea, but now you
give us some sweet Day of the Tithe art like we all want.
No, nobody wants the tithe, chap.
Everybody wants the tithe.
Nobody likes the tithe, chap.
Write us. Tell André how you want art based on that great Gambit episode.
It's like one of the worst. It's a terrible episode.
We talk about it. It's a cultural touchstone now on this show.
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll just do random, like each season we'll do a random print or something. Because I think you know what I think I will do.
Each season, inspire print. That's what I even called the first one.
I know what it's going to be. I'm going to do Sexy Gambit from this episode because if you look at his outfit, look him up. He's got like the fashion scarf, the ponytail with the 80s jacket. It looks. I'm gonna do like a Gambit gave you a photo that he signs. We will actually have it like signatured like Gambit.
Oh, there you have it. That's
so I'll do sexy Gambit just for you.
This is the current sticker you can get, and I'll probably do a tier up where you can donate a little more and get a mug or a T-shirt instead of a sticker. So we'll do that as well. This design will get used for some different things that you can get. I figure you just switch around these tiers. You want a sticker, go there for a little bit. And then you got your sticker. You want a T-shirt, cancel that one, do another one. I'm trying to make this stuff as easy for you guys to get as merch as possible. Way cheaper than Patreon says I should. So that's and André will make us some cool merch about the tithe.
I'm not doing your stupid tithe merch.
Thank God. Am I going to have to do it? I can't.
That episode so much. The tithe. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out something.
Anyway, you can also contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, maybe. You can find the audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts. And I compressed the file, so when André complained earlier about how I blew out his eardrums, that won't happen to you.
You will make it under the ship.
See, that's from the Tithe episode, the greatest episode. Anyway, if you enjoy
no, it's not.
please.
No, it's not. It's not from the Tide episode.
Yeah, it is because he calls him. What? Is it not?
No, it's from the one where Xavier was freaking out or something. He goes, "Everything going okay there, shit?" Or no, everything going okay there? He said it really fast, and we added share to the end instead of something that was said later. But it was like,
hey, Bobby.
That was later. But he's like, it's like, is everything going okay over there? Something, it was something like that. Like Xavier was freaking out or something, and Gambit comes in. He's like, "Everything all right over there?" Like you said it really fast. That's kind of where the fast talking came from.
Okay, maybe that's true.
We guys walk
I
through our
can
history.
neither confirm nor deny. But and tune in next week for our interview with Rogue herself, Lenore Zan. It's going to be real fun. We're looking forward to it. I believe she'll be calling in from somewhere.
Very excited to have her on the show.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a real Nova Scotian kitchen party. So,
right.
Grab your Solomon Gundy and join us. I drove by a place today that is like there was just a sign out in front of a house. It's just like Solomon Gundy for sale.
But the undead villain from DC Comics?
No, you're not familiar with Solomon Gundy? Where are you
Yes,
from in Nova
I
Scotia?
am familiar with Solomon Gundy.
Right,
I'm more familiar with the DC villain Solomon Grundy. But I am familiar with it as I am.
There was also a Captain Planet villain named Solomon Grundy, I think.
Well, it's from an old saying. It's from an old poem. That's where the name comes from. Did you not know this? Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday.
Yeah.
It's a nursery rhyme. From the 50s, way back then, I think, from the 1840s or something. Solomon Grundy, born on Monday, christened on a Tuesday, married on a Wednesday, took ill on Thursday, grew worse on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. That was the end of Solomon Grundy.
You get pickled herring. All makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know how it got wrapped up with the food from the East Coast, but anyway.
But yeah, join us next week where we'll take a break from this Phoenix saga and then bring it back for 4 straight Phoenix sagas. And
4 straight, baby.
Maybe we'll have more guests along the way as well. Anything could happen.
I think we need to do a whole episode on Solomon Gundy.
Okay.
It's Jamaican.
We're gonna do a cooking show?
It's Jamaican. It's a pate made from smoked red herring, mackerel, and shad.
Well, shad, that's what we catch here, man.
The term may come from the British word salamagundi, used to refer to a salad of many different ingredients. The term is originally from the French word salamagundus, which refers to a separate assembly of things, ideas, or people forming an incoherent whole. So it's not even related to Solomon Grundy at all.
No.
Which is hilarious, and what a weird... Yeah, it's a Jamaican dish that probably just got,
it got appropriated, just like Screech.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, let's not get too esoterically Canadian for some of our international listeners, but okay. Just in case you've forgotten, we are Canadians.
Yeah,
don't hold it against you. That's true, which is a whole other world, really. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We love you dearly. I love one of you more than others, but I'm not going to tell you which one. Just you have to fight it out.
What?
I can tell you.
Wow. All right. Well, catch you next time.
All will be revealed next time.
What a kick! Can we do it again?
1, 2, 3.